What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back to the Inside Wisconsin Show here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts and wherever you do the socials. I wonder if he's going to jump in. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson, today on the Inside Wisconsin Show. So I appreciate you sitting in the co-hosting chair for a second here and introing the show. And then we get to have you as the guest.
Well, yeah. Well, hopefully that nobody's going to turn off right now. Maybe we shouldn't have maybe led with that, but okay, good. So look, I wore my Lance shirt for your friendly coach, the former UW Whitewater coach. It's Inside Wisconsin. I just want people to know this is how I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm. Gloves
By the way,
off.
if you don't know, honestly, that's what Kansas looks like. Like, look at that thing. It's
pretty
as square
boring
as can be. Anyway,
that chunk in the upper right-hand corner, I'm pretty sure that Missouri got that in the war. They just took that corner.
Well, I think that's a river that runs. I think that's the Missouri River, and so that's why that follows that. Otherwise, it'd be a square. The other thing, I may have told you this. You can look it up online. This is completely true. Kansas they did studies flatter than a pancake. Because like a pancake, at least when you flip it, it rises just a little bit, like that's got a little crown. Kansas actually flatter than a pancake. But that's the Inside Wisconsin Show. Forget that. I just want everybody to know that's why I'm wearing that, because I'm just
well, Lance is from Wisconsin, obviously, so it matters. By the way, what did you text him when you it was announced that you were headed back to Missouri?
Yeah, I texted him portal news. Anderson out, ESPN June 30th. Joins Missouri faculty 2020 January 25. Your ass is really in trouble now. So, yep.
Game on.
Yep, I'm going to be ready to out him. But he's so nice. He's like, hey, we're playing all our home games at Arrowhead, our conference home games at Arrowhead. You should come. So I didn't answer that because it would have been terrible.
Friendly.
As you know, it would be terrible.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm. I do know. And he was kind enough to text me when he heard about my injury and said, sometimes, Trev, you just got to know when you hang it up. Yeah, let's get this out of the way because I don't want this to be a part of your interview. I blew out my Achilles playing beer league softball 2 nights ago. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So,
real deal.
Yeah. There you go. Nobody needs to see that. There you are.
Yep. That was not me stretching well.
Newsflash, old man hurt playing softball.
Yeah. Well,
kind of.
The bad news is I was just running. It was total non-contact.
Think about that. You were just running. You were doing literally the lowest form of sports performance and hurt yourself. Thank God you weren't lifting a 50-pound weight. You might be dead.
Oh, easy now. Yep, it was a loud pop. We're going to get some surgery done. All is well. This will not be affected. I didn't blow out a vocal cord or get smashed in the face. Just all right, let's do this, man. Let's get you into the guest chair.
Remember, people, this is a man who hurt his knee standing up off a bar stool.
Okay, all right. Well,
should have been running,
Can this be about you now?
Like in the caveman paintings they show where we start as the Cro-Magnon, we're walking on 4 and then you get up and we eventually are erect. Like right in the middle there, that would be you on crutches.
I'm not injury prone. It just happens to be the All right.
You and Rhodey are the most injury prone people in the world.
There's a lot going on over here.
That poor kid looks at you and goes, oh my God, this is my life. Like, thank God he can go, well, at least baldness skips a generation. So I'll have my hair, even if I have a limp.
Everything's going to be fine, kid. Yeah. All right, let's do this, man. I'm excited for this. For the first time ever, you have nothing written down. And probably for the first time ever, I have more written down than for any other show I've ever prepped for. So we're excited. The guest on today's Inside Wisconsin show is a broadcasting legend, John Anderson. Let's jump in.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us.
So this community means a lot to me because it did help me form who I am as a person. I've always connected with being able to help kids because I go back to my time as a kid playing Little League baseball or playing little girls softball or whatever it was. And I think, my family I didn't grow up into a family with a lot of resources. And I think I still see that in people today and that they want their kids to participate, but there's sometimes a financial barrier to doing that. So I think anything that we can do to alleviate some of that cost for people. To be able to let their kids participate is just a huge deal. And I love the fact that there's more opportunity now than ever for kids to do stuff that's fun. The Noon Optimist basketball tournament's been around for 35 years. Our whole organization really is about helping kids in our community. So when I became a Noon Optimist, it was all about, let's see what we can do to help the kids. It's so much fun seeing these kids participate. They're passionate at that age, and they just have a lot of passion for what they do, and I think I love watching that. You know, we talk about this being a transactional business. It becomes more than a transactional business. It's about building relationships with our clients. It's about finding out what they want and need with their insurance. And I think it's a matter of trust. When you build that relationship, they have that trust in you that you're always going to be there. And it's such a huge compliment to me when a person leaves my office and says, thanks, I feel so much better about what I've got here because I trust that you're looking out for me. It's just being part of the community and building those relationships with those folks in our community that make our lives special and make our community special. I love that I get to help people every day. Love the fact that we're a huge part of our communities, and we really strive to be more than just a quote.
All right, J.A., we all watched it, your last SportsCenter. I introduced you just now as a broadcasting legend, and if you didn't get the memo, that's what you are. So tell us about your last show, and then we're just going to cover the gamut. But how was last night? It's Saturday morning here.
It was way over the top. I had no idea. I had been for months trying to just say, since I announced it, or since you helped me announce it, I had tried desperately to go out quietly. Like I said, that kind of got shattered a little bit in early March, and when I was at Texas Relays. But with the guys, I'm like, I just really would like to just do the show. The show's always been the thing. That should be the thing. And that's what we should do. And they humored me by going, yep, that's fine. We'd like to do a little something. You've been here 25 years, And I said, Levy will be here. That'll be great. And so it was way too much. It was over the top. It was remarkable to watch, though. Like, I'm like, wow, that was a long time. And there was a lot of things that we did, a lot of things I'd forgotten. I'm really indebted to Steve Levy to come and do the show, right? Levy literally had spent the last 12 days on the road going back between Edmonton and Miami, Fort Lauderdale with the Stanley Cup. And the fact he got back and just, kind of sucked it up and came in and did it like there was no hesitation. There wasn't like, are you sure we can't get, X to do it? So, and to do it with him. And you're sitting there and you go like, if my life was like this every night, you might change your mind. By the end of the show, I'm like, no, I'm still ready to be done. Because we get done, it was like 1:40 in the morning. I'm like, all right, here I am again. So that part, but it was great. It was fun. It was time. And like I said, a lot of stuff. We showed Twiggy the water skiing squirrel. And if you know or don't know, that's all. Long as he makes TV, then it's a good show. And I would just say this: if anybody's trying to leave quietly, pick a day when there's more crap going on. And then they can't do anything, right? Like it was just a slow sports day. So that gave them all the more time to just pull crap. Whereas if it just been, next time retire on Super Bowl Sunday. That way they're forced to just show you who won the Super Bowl and they would do less.
Hey, the Brewers had a great game for you to at least call. And that was a really
fun
had
one segment. Great swing. And sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah. And you rubbed it in 4 grand slams in the last week.
In a week.
For the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, how great was that, though, that our girl, Nicole, Wausau's finest, shows up. First off, like Kenny Mayne, here's your finest meats and cheeses in a clubhouse feast. And then sits there. And then the fact that, her team just got pounded is fantastic.
Yeah, that was awesome. We don't share the same baseball affinity. And we're like, yep, you're right.
Not the same.
And then you go, let's watch them get their face beat in, shall we? Here we go.
Yes, but there I'm sitting there, gray-haired old man, and she walks in, in her high heels and a leather suit. Like, I'm not so sure I couldn't be a Cubs fan if it meant her liking me.
The icon.
Love the icon.
Oh man. So all right, so that was the last show.
Yep.
let's go back to day one at ESPN. You started on ESPN News 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Take me. I asked you off air. Do you recognize the place? I mean, in comparison to when you started, what has it turned into, and what do you, I guess, you miss most about day one?
Well, that's what it's become is, and I when I say what it's become, and if I hesitate, I don't mean to make that sound bad. It has become different. Lambeau Field is different than when Bart Starr played there in the Ice Bowl, right? We would all say it's better. It's, look at it, it's great. And those Packers might just go, look at this thing. It's commercialized and it's big, and whatever happened to the charm of place. And we got to this, we won championships by hanging our clothes on a nail in the locker room. So, like, just because it's changed does not mean it is better or worse, in my opinion, when it came through. One of the biggest changes when I got there in day one, Tamara dropped me off, and you could drive right in front of the building where my office was. There was no security. There was no fence around the place. You could just drive in and drop me off. And I remember telling her, I wish I was an accountant as I got out of the car. And she goes, well, why would you want to be an accountant? Maybe I've said this before. And I said, well, like, if you're an accountant, all the numbers have to add up and make sense, right? Like if you have to figure out all the debits and all the credits, if you're balancing your checkbook, everything has to be right. And I said, this is subjective. I went to Phoenix. The person who hired me liked me a lot. They hired me enough or they liked me enough to hire me. When I left, the guy that was in charge, name will remain, I won't say it, John Cardenas. He didn't like anybody that was in our department. He didn't like sports. He didn't think anybody was funny. He thought he was going to win with weather. Cool, because you're in Arizona. I could do the weather in Arizona. But anyway, and then that guy didn't like any of us. And so now you're out of a job, and none of us had changed. We're the same people. So that becomes really subjective and selective. And so I thought, boy, I hope this goes all right. And, it turns out it went just fine. But it's so funny to go to last night when, it was promoted, and a lot of people we hope were watching. The ratings aren't back. And the first time, and I'm on ESPN News for 3 hours from 1 to 4. You're used to doing 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't even know if I know enough words to fill 3 hours. And only a half hour of it ended up on ESPN2. So from 1 to 4, and like from 3 to 3:30 would be on ESPN2. So I'd call my mom or buddy and go like, hey, if you want to watch, there I was. It was probably better that early on I was in the dark there while I was kind of, trying to get my feet under me and my sea legs and stuff. And then that when you do those 3 to 3:30 shifts, then you always had to throw to a fishing show called Spanish Fly. You're like, are you kidding me? It's like Kenny said, Fitness Beach will not be seen. When we first started, you threw to Fitness Beach. We had to do a bunch of closes. When you did one would be like, okay, we're coming back. One would be the last one. And then one would be to whatever was on in the morning. Thanks for watching. Fitness Beach is next, which became a really funny joke. But that 25 years ago, that's what we threw to. So it was all different when I did that. And I was one of the fortunate ones. People had to work on ESPN News for years, 2 and 3 years just to get a shot at SportsCenter.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I was out of the news box, called it the box because where it was in the newsroom, and it literally was a box. I got out of the box within about 6 months. And so I was really fortunate to have that happen. But yeah, day one, my Tam just dropped me off and I just rolled in. That's literally when you could have come on campus and said, hi, I'm here to kidnap Chris Berman, if you could call him. And the secretary would have said, hi, yeah, Chris, there's a man here to kidnap you, if you could come down. So, but the place is a little more, you've been here now, it's a little more secure.
Well, I called 15 years ago and to start the conversation of doing a bobblehead with you. And the front desk picked up. I said, hey, it's Trevor in Green Bay calling for John Anderson. And they went, sure, just a moment. And
Trevor,
right to your desk.
I'm going to show you how the world has passed me by. Okay, I've typed in ESPN on my phone.
Okay.
And I'm going to find the ESPN main number, okay, which is 860-585-2000. Or so it's been 100 years. Now, I haven't had to call it until yesterday in a long time, okay? So 860-585-2000. We're going to put this on the old speakerphone for you. Okay.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
So that told me it's time to go. I dialed the main number and it says it's disconnected and no longer in service. That's literally, yeah, literally. It says, yeah, there's my recents, ESPN Maine. Yeah. So they changed the prefix. I finally figured it out. Instead of 860-585, it's now 766-2000.
Wow.
But I dialed because I wanted to get a hold of somebody. I didn't know I wanted to call security. And so I just called the main desk and it's like, the number's disconnected. I'm like, wow. There were a lot of signs, Norby got fired or Lowe left the company. Jack Obringer, my boss, left the company. Levy won't do another SportsCenter for years. I'm like, there's a picture of the four of us, Levy, Bucci, Kenny, and myself that's outside my office. Yeah. And I came in and it had fallen down. So the glue had come off. I'm like, wow, if ever this is like, get the hell out. That was it. So yeah, I called the place and it said the number has been disconnected.
Did your key card work yesterday?
It's ESPN, for the Lord. Like, what is that about? And so then I found one and it's like, okay, this can't be it. And it's not. It's like dial 1 for ESPN Plus and dial 2 for ESPN Bet. And I'm like, good Lord.
Okay. Yeah. Well, update that number in case you never need to get a hold of security. Mm-hmm. Jeez. So many of your peers mentioned it on SportsCenter last night, John. They actually called you one of the best, if not the best writer to ever come through ESPN SportsCenter. That was pretty incredible. There was a moment last night, though, during the show where I thought you and Levy were going to get the giggle fits for a second. Because as funny and as amazing of a writer as you are, you surrounded yourself, and ESPN surrounded you with some insanely funny people. So was there ever a time when you were live on TV and you just couldn't get it back together because somebody else was just so funny?
Yeah. There's a ton of inside jokes on any show. I don't know if you know.
I caught that last night for sure. Kenny Mayne dropped
the what?
I said Kenny Mayne dropped something that was an inside joke towards the end of his interview.
Well, we did some, right? Like, where Tampa you got it is an inside joke that's happening there. And believe it or not, part of the reason Bucci kind of bent over in laughter is world class is part of a really, really, really good inside joke. I can't do that. So that was kind of what set him off. So when we do that, Kenny Kenny made me laugh so often that I would have to go in and I'd read his stuff, right? Usually you just, oh, great, people are working and you don't want to take that spontaneity out. I would go read Kenny's stuff because he would make me laugh so hard. I didn't want to be just this hyena next to him, and one of them was after the Randall Simon hit the Brewer mascot during the races, right? And it was big joke. Then people had, people were all over him. Well, then PETA finally find out, wait, they're racing sausages in Milwaukee. So then they throw this big fit that they're going to remember. And they wanted to have like a vegetarian sausage. And so Kenny writes this deal about it. And then his punchline was something like, so I guess that Gorman Thomas will no longer be able to slaughter veal in center field. So like if I didn't read that and you just got it, that would be hard. The one that cracked me up the hardest that Scott Van Pelt actually then had to read it to break is he does this marvelous Patrick Harrington, the Irish golfer that won major championships, imitation, right? This thick accent, it's unfortunate. And so I was doing the highlight. And then the other thing, if you listen to Patty, he always, instead, some people go, and Patty always was like, ha. And he, when he gets stumped, he'd go, ha. And so we're on the set and I have this highlight and we've all done this, right? You're doing this delicate little chip and he just buries it into the ground and it goes that far. And so he does it. And just as I'm taking a breath to pick up the next one, Scott just goes, it's unfortunate. And that was it. I was just gone. And I just couldn't get it back. Because as you know, comedy, timing's everything, right? And so the comic, it was a small word, like how funny can that be? The timing was such that was it. And I could not finish. And that was the end of it. And that was during the show. And he finished up the highlight and he got us to break because I was just, and that was the one where I lost it most. Kenny and I once did a deal on the 4th of July and we were just doing the close. So luckily that was okay, but we had to do the close like 13 times because we started laughing at each other. It started with me saying goodbye, and 4th of July is tomorrow. And so just be careful with the fireworks. We don't want any accidents. And so he kind of chuckled, and then we had to do one more. And then he just went into like, don't throw it in a trash can. We don't want to lose fingers. And it just, again, skidded off the rails. But those are great. Those are things that happen. And that's part of the reason that Van Pelt and I didn't do many shows after a while, because they just decided that was not conducive to people getting their sports news. Because we just got in the way and it would get off the rails. And a little of it, the guy that started SportsCenter, John Walsh, loved when you'd get a little of it. Yeah. But sometimes Scott and I were not as disciplined as you would hope to be. So,
and that's what we miss most about those. You just mentioned that you had to read Kenny Mayne's stuff prior to. Yeah. Is there an easy way for you to describe what goes into writing a SportsCenter? Like, how do you prep for a show? What does that look like? Is that simple to explain, or is it pretty difficult?
No, it's not. It's just the hardest part about it is that, here's a story. Last night, it just said Brewers Cubs lead in. That's it. They decided the pacing of the show and what it is. A lot of things dictate it. If you have a big story, you want to do a lead in. Sometimes it's pacing, and so the hardest part is like, okay, here's a blank page. What do I put on the blank page? That's the hardest part of all of it. And it's kind of funny in this next chapter going down to Missouri in discussing, yes, broadcast performance is something, and yes, you can do sports journalism, but I think there's something to be done for a class on imagination and curiosity. I think some of this, right, you said a lot of people paid wonderful comments about how well I write, which I think I do okay in that, but I think some of it is what's the hook, right? Some of that is, can you tell it or think of something that other people haven't, or can you tell it in a way that they haven't? So when it comes through, but no, you just sit down and there it is, and you write it. And it's funny, the show always took the same amount of time, whether you had 5 lead-ins or you had no lead-ins. If you have 5 lead-ins, it takes a lot of time because you got to research them, you got to write them, you want to make sure they're right, you rewrite them and do all that. But if you have that many, chances are there's not a lot of games in the show. And so you might write deeper into the show, but once the show starts, it's okay. There's less to do. On a night when there's nothing but highlights, you don't have as much to write, but now you're jamming on all these games. I want to know about the Brewers, or when Cheerio hits a home run, you're like, oh, who are the other guys? Bowers, Turang, and Hoskins that hit home runs, hit grand slam home runs. And so now you're constantly prepping for more of those games. So it all comes about the same way. But if you sit there, most nights, it's really boring. People go, can I shadow you? And I'm like, you'll literally be my shadow. I'm going to sit here at the desk and type. And I might get up early and go tape something, but ahead of time. But it's not a sexy pursuit as you sit and do it. But also that means sometimes you have a lot of idle time, and then you just make fun of each other and play stupid games. Like we used to play something called Name the Fake Game on Saturdays, where here's 12 games. You got to pick out which one was fake, right? So that when you had, Vitterboro against Mary Hardin Baylor, you're like, no, that's an actual game, where people were like, there's no way that's real. We'd play Stump the Prompter, where these young kids, just to see what they knew about pop culture from our era, like you'd say, finish this sentence, signed, sealed, blank, I'm yours.
Delivered.
Correct. But if you ask the extra 22-year-old, has no idea. So what we do is we'd ask whoever's the prompter what that was. Then we tell him, and then he had to guess how many of the next 10 PAs that came and brought highlights to you, how many of the next 10 PAs would successfully get the answer. So we just did dumb shit all the time, and it was great.
That's awesome.
That's the stuff I'll miss, right? Not 2 a.m., but I'll miss all the dumb shit.
There was a lot of that stuff last night. I wondered how much of that was live, and how much did you know was coming? Like, there was a segment where you were getting nothing?
None. I taped Dustin Poirier early.
Yeah.
I did Grant Holloway just before he was going to be live, And then they're like, hey, we need him to go because he's got to go to drug testing. All right, cool. We pop up and we can do that, right? Like that's always the thing. You think, oh, this is when we're going to talk to the person. And then you realize, like in Grant Holloway's case, okay, he wins because he won about an hour and 5 minutes before the show went on. And then he's got to go to an awards ceremony. Then you've got to go through the mix zone, which is where you go interview all the media. Then he's a big enough star, he probably has a press conference. Then they're going to take you and drug test you. And if you can't go to the bathroom right away, you sit there till you can. Then they take you to what they call processing, which is the favorite story. If you ever talk to people like this, processing sounds like, God, that doesn't be great. Processing is where you go in the big room, and it's the Team USA room. And they're like, here, pick out your stuff that you can wear at the Olympics. Oh, wow. And now come over here and we're going to book your travel to the Olympics. So people that go through processing the first time tell these wonderful stories, and everybody's happy because you've made the team. They're excited to see you. Suddenly these people that make the team, they're like, wow, these people know my name. And they go through, and that's where they hand you a jersey, right? And it says USA on it. And so it's an amazing thing. So, like, when is he going to show up? But then anything else, I didn't know Nicole was on there, the Levy Lounge. I'm like, I wonder who he's doing the lounge with. Didn't know they were going to interrupt the Brewer lead in.
Really?
Yeah, none of that. Had no idea.
There was a red carpet pointed at you. I thought for sure you saw that one coming.
No, I saw it down there like there, but that's kind of always the joke that we've done in the Levy Lounge. It's always dressed up like that, and it's, usually there's a thing where people can't get it. So it didn't look any different than it always does. And I thought he was just going to go to do whatever the highlight. And usually I'm pretty astute on some of these things, but I didn't see my son coming home the night before. That stunned me. And then some of that stuff I just didn't see. Like, I watched as the floor director brought in a third chair, and I'm like, okay, now who is this? Like, is he really bringing in Mrs. Finkelstein, who is not the name of my math teacher? I don't know what it was. I just would have remembered Finkelstein. Might have been Mrs. Zuberbeer, which sounds just about the same.
Yeah.
Which is an actual real person, right? Mrs. Zuberbeer. So, yeah, none of that. I didn't know Kenny was going to be on the show because that moron sent me, hey, sorry, I can't be there. I'm in the Bahamas. So they try to get Jordan Love, but apparently he's in Italy.
Yeah.
So that was great. Didn't see Leroy Butler, like none of that stuff. I'm like, wow, and I should have known when at the end of the show they had 2 minutes in there to say goodbye. And I said to the guy, I said, I don't have 2 minutes. I'm not writing anything. I don't have any of this big send off. I just want to say, here's Zubin and Nicole in the next SportsCenter and go. And he's like, okay. And he took it down to 30 seconds. And I'm like, okay, I should have known, like, all right, you can't just bury 90 seconds. Where is that? So I knew the commercial thing was in. I knew the thing of some of Levy and I doing our shows together. That stuff was in.
Yeah.
But none of the guests in it. That stuff was all crazy.
That was incredible. I actually texted Leroy Butler right after that happened and said, wow, man, that was really cool.
Yeah,
he texted back. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I got to get back to him.
That was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
A few more for me, and then we have a whole bunch of listener and viewer questions. So we'll take a break. 2 more, though. You just talked about track and field. It didn't surprise me at all that you interviewed a track and field star in your last episode. Yeah. When did the sport of track and field bite you and not let go?
Why? So way back when I was a kid, I was fascinated by the 1976 Olympics. I was 11 years old, and that was the first 72 of Munich. I don't remember that. And so I just watched that in awe of, and I can name so many guys on that team, which sounds dumb, right? But whether it was Edwin Moses, at the time, Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner, Harvey Glantz, who was still in college and ran on the 100 meters. And then Dwight Stones. Like, I watched Dwight Stones high jump, and I thought, look at that. That's the craziest thing. And I went down, and my buddy Stroh and I, we went and found old 2x4s from my dad's workplace, and we made standards and pounded nails on them. We took our bicycle flags and made them made it the crossbar. And then we would, as soon as my mom would leave to go to the grocery store or something, we'd rip every mattress off bed and seat cushions off couches and pillows, and made pits and high jumped in my basement. And that's where it kind of bit me. And then I did a little of it in 7th grade, and then due to an unfortunate circumstance, I was removed from the team. And which again, it was really discouraging. I'll tell you quick. There was a guy who was basically a bully, and I was this little scrawny kid, and he was a bully. And finally, I'd had enough, and I hauled off and punched him, and kind of got myself beaten to death. Not that bad, but the guy got it. It was all over me, and luckily, people pulled him off me, or I would have been. But he was the best and star person, and so he stayed on the team, and I got thrown off.
Oh, of course you did.
Yeah, that's how it works. And so then I really didn't do it again till late in my junior year of high school.
Wow.
Yeah, and
you did it in college, and you did it well.
And then I did it a couple weeks in high school, and then but not long enough that they let me jump in the qualifying in the sectionals because I hadn't been on the team long enough.
Oh.
But I did really well in the city in the county meet. Just showed up out of nowhere, and people were like, who is this clown? And then I had a great senior year, and then I went on and on. And so I just have always been involved in it. And then I was lucky at Missouri, even though I wasn't any good, I had loads of teammates that were, right? So we're there. My freshman year is 83 and 84, and now 84 comes, which is the next Olympics the U.S. was in, right? 76, I'm 11. They don't go in 80 and 84. Now I have teammates running in the Olympics. And I'm watching those guys, which is crazy because you're like in LA and you're like USA. And I'm watching guys from Nigeria, and I'm like, come on, Henry Amike, who fell in the 800 in the 400 meter hurdles finals and finished last. And I can still see him jogging home. But anyway, so it's just been forever. I love it.
I think you jumped 7.2.5. I've heard that someplace before a time or two.
Don't even remember it. Yeah.
Okay, last one for me, then we'll take a break. Nicole mentioned it last night that she grew up wanting to be you or these other guys that she grew up on SportsCenter with. Wes Hodkiewicz has talked about it. I grew up watching SportsCenter, dreaming someday of doing something like this. You're a very humble man. I got asked to come on the Mike Heller show yesterday down in Milwaukee and talk about your last episode. And they said, do you know anything of what it's going to be? And I said, John wants it to be the show. I promise you it's not just going to be the show. If you back out of this for a second, J.A., I know that the limelight and you wanting the attention on you isn't your thing. But how do you receive being one of the greatest SportsCenter anchors of all time?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't receive it well. I just try to receive it graciously.
Sure, that's fair.
People are kind to do that, and that's really nice. And I guess, as they say with old buildings and hookers, they all get classier or something like that as they get older. But I guess to do that show, and I did think about that, like there's not many people that did that show more often. There were people that had way more profile, Dan and Keith, Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick, or even Boomer. But those guys didn't do it 25 years, and even Linda Cohn, who's been there 30 years, she had a stretch where she was out doing, because she wanted a break from it. So she went out and did some golf and did some things in the field. And Levy, for the longest time, he takes 6 months off every year because he was off doing the NHL play-by-play when we had that contract the first time. And so I'm one of the few people that have done it that long, that continuously, maybe anybody, I'm pretty sure that if you took the re-airs and all this other stuff, that there's been nobody that did more hours of SportsCenter than I did, Stuart Scott, unfortunately, who was, but he passed away. And so I thought of that and I thought, well, that is something, I guess that's somewhat of an accomplishment. And that people watched, and that some people, because of that, thought, oh, that might be a good job. And something to do, is, like that's really humbling. But I think of it much like, because it's all over. We didn't have that when I grew up. I'm sure that's why I watched Bill Jarts and I thought, ooh, I would like to do that, or Daryl Burnett, or Jim Klein, or all these guys that were local guys when I was there. So I thought, okay, well, that's how I thought. It's reasonable to expect that some kid in, whether it's Rhinelander or in Denver, would look and think the same thing. So I don't take it well, because mostly, like I said, I just wanted to do the job, but I try to take it graciously because it's very touching when people say that. It's I hope their parents don't blame me, but it's neat.
You have nothing to blame. It's been awesome watching that, and seeing it end last night. It was surreal. I mean, you can say that it's your last show all you want, and then we're watching the last show, and it's like, shit, this is really happening.
Done.
Yeah, wow. All right, let's take a break. And as promised, our listeners and viewers are going to host the second segment as the co-host. Good. I have a whole slew of questions to run by you. All right, we're back in just a minute with legendary ESPN broadcaster John Anderson, the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. You're going to have a lot more time to man the grill, J.A., in this whole new season that you're about to head into your life. So my question is, you're going from the Northeast back to the Midwest here in the next 6-9 months.
Yeah.
Have grill will travel, or what are you going to do? You're going to buy a new one when you get there? Bring some Miller Lite with you? What are you going to do?
Well, first off, I think I'll have, I don't know. The grill we have now is a gas line in, so we might leave it there. It's an older one. I was going to say, you know how I know it's grilling season is I get the text, while you're there at the Ace Hardware, will you get a new grill brush? Because apparently I thought they just last forever. They don't.
No.
You know. So I had to get a new grill brush, which always seems like that's kind of like the Swallows returning to Capistrano. Okay, it must be, the season is here again. I've saw my first robin. The roses are blooming, and I have bought a grill brush. So I will. The thing I worry about is in traveling to Missouri is there is a competitor for Miller Lite. So I'm going to have to be a warrior on behalf of them.
Yes, right? You will.
I will have to be a warrior on behalf of them because there's a lot of folks there that will, try to fight for the other side. But I'm willing.
Champion.
I feel like they have invested in the right guy. I'm here for you. And so we'll see. But yeah, we'll figure that out. The nice thing is, we can, long as you know how to make fire, then how you choose to, put that together. Where I will tell you this, I'm not getting whatever you call it, the Blackstone, whatever.
I was just going to bring that up again. If I have a Miller Lite in hand while I'm on the Blackstone and I know I'm not drinking it fast enough, it's because it gets warm being that close to that grill. That thing gets hot.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
What
do you call it? What do you call it?
The Blackstone.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I refuse.
On you, man.
I may give it on Twitter. I may give it on Twitter, but on this other thing, that's the hill I'm going to die on.
Please get it on Twitter. Gosh, I can't wait for you to have something on social media. And please be the champion that we know you can be for Miller Lite. With a Miller Lite in hand, grilling doesn't just taste great. It tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/InsideWisconsin, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories per 12 ounces. What'd you say? Just give a little Miller Lite baptism.
Every once in a while. Just, pour a little out for your homies.
Time for another top 5 list here on the Inside Wisconsin Show, presented by Wisconsin leaders in STEM, University of Wisconsin-Platteville. UW-Platteville's exciting STEM programs make it a top university in Wisconsin and the Midwest region. In fact, UW-Platteville is ranked in the top 20 for regional universities here in the Midwest. Find out more at uwplatt.edu. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I did text you and say, do you have the ability to create a top 5 list of your top 5 moments on SportsCenter? 4,321 episodes. I could appreciate that this is not easy, but what have you come up with for a list of these 5 memorable moments?
Well, since they're SportsCenter, right? That's good. I'm like, okay, good. I can throw some things out. Like I love doing the Rose Parade. That was great. Yeah. I love doing segments, even though they appeared on SportsCenter, but wasn't really SportsCenter. Like at the U.S. Open with Andy North and Curtis Strange. Those were amazing things. Then, as always, there's the stuff that doesn't make the list, right? Like we did one. I was in L.A. for a SportsCenter with Jay Harris, and we ended up riding around with David Hasselhoff in the Knight Rider car. I don't really know what that was about. So that was crazy. Like anything where you got to write about Tiger was a good day. There was a SportsCenter that we did when Agassi and Sampras were big, and they would play at the Australian Open in a semifinal. And so you had to wait for that to get done. So you'd like have a preview for like 2.5 minutes. and then you'd wait for the match to end. And in between, I'd go run for like an hour and a half and come back all sweaty and just put on the mic and do the highlight. So that was in there. So here's what I've come up with. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So I found 4 that were really kind of really good and memorable, I guess.
Sure.
So I'm looking at these other one, New Year's Eve stunt shows. That was funny. Travis Pastrana one time tried to drive in Vegas a car over in Van Pelt, and they're like, I can't believe New Year's Eve, and we're going to be sitting here and having to cover a guy who's going to drown because he just, just flew his car into the Bellagio fountains, or whatever. I'm like, this is going to suck. Same with some guy. So Travis, I don't know, some guy tried to jump on top of whatever the thing that looks like the Arc de Triomphe there in Vegas. And we're like, this is it. This is how we're going to be here all night watching this guy splatter himself like an egg.
That's awesome.
The one time Jimmy Johnson co-hosted was kind of fun. The NASCAR driver.
Yeah.
That was amazing. When I started talking about the Kes Diggity, he's like, who's that? And we're like, that's, Kes, no, what was the guy's name? He won the title. Nobody liked him. Keselowski. And so he's like, we're now going to call that guy the Kes Diggity. Remember David Keckner, who played Champ Kynes in the?
Oh yeah, in Anchorman.
Right. So Champ was going to come on and be part of the show.
Oh.
And so we're all set. We're doing the whole thing. It's going to be great. And then literally 45 minutes before the show, Aaron Hernandez got indicted for murder. And then we're like, I don't know that we can somehow parlay Champ Kynes into that. So that had to end. So, okay. So these are, I'm just giving you 5. We can't rank them.
Cool. I get it.
If you want to make them all tied for first or all tied for 5th, I don't care. Or all tied.
This wouldn't be a top 5 list without at least one duplicate. So let's make them all number 1.
So,
sounds good.
So one of them is the first show I did, which was great, right? You get started. You can't have the other 4,320 without the first one. That was with David Lloyd.
He mentioned that last night's show. That's so cool.
That was great. Did it with David Lloyd with DL. That was amazing. In fact, when I went into Norby, the first person I actually texted was David Lloyd. Said, hey, I'm going to tell you this first because you were the guy that I did the SportsCenter first with. So that's great. Cool. Then there was the one that I mentioned with Levy. There we did one. I went and looked up the date, April 17, 2008. That was the 22-inning Padre game. Oh
yeah, that was super late, right? That was ridiculous.
22 innings. We couldn't go before. We had to wait for everything to get over. And I literally saw Sage Steele coming in to do the morning SportsCenter as we were leaving. What was worse is that it was scoreless for 13 innings.
Oh.
And in the 14th, a team scores. And we're like, we're getting out of here. And then the Padres scored one in the bottom of the 14th, and we played a whole nother effing game. 22 innings. And Levy and I can still remember, because now the marine layer comes in, so the ball's not flying. Petco's big, and we're just like, anybody, take a steroid, hit a home run, let's go home. So that was terrible. Then this one, these will be these are the top 3 in some order.
Okay.
NBA Finals with LeBron and Dwayne Wade. So that was pretty cool. Doing SportsCenter in Cleveland on the road with those guys, and they threw it to us. And that's the one where I said it's John Anderson along with Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, or as we're known in the NBA, the Big 3. And that's when those 2 guys looked at each other and looked at me and like, this guy's an idiot and this will be fun. So that was great. Also in the top 3 was the night Muhammad Ali passed away, which is kind of morbid, but we had signed off at midnight, 11 to midnight. We'd done the 11, Van Pelt and I. Bob Lee was standing by, looked like it was fine. We were all going home, throw it to L.A. And within 5 minutes, so Bob comes in from the parking lot. Scott and I are still visiting outside as we put our mics back. And we got back on set, and we were there commercial-free for 4.5 hours.
Wow.
4.5 hours. Called in everybody. I can still see Tessitore and had Teddy Atlas on the street corner of wherever they were had done Friday night fights. We get them out of bed at 2 a.m. And Teddy's trying to explain his greatness. He's throwing jabs and he's literally middle of the night street corner. So that was amazing. And then even though it was a long time ago, this was like when I thought, okay, I might have a career here. And it was after the Super Bowl. when Gruden and the Bucks routed the Oakland, the Raiders.
Raiders, yeah.
In San Diego, and they play you hear the music, and we come on, and just before we came out, I'm like, I'm here doing SportsCenter after the Super Bowl with Dan Patrick. And I thought, this is like, every once in a while I take a snapshot and I'm like, this is going to be a really good day at work. I should remember that. And that's when we had loads of people. That's when Sterling Sharp was on that show and that's where Dan I don't know if I told you, right? He stole my line. So Sterling said something about, he's like, well, listen, in Green Bay, they love me. They thought I could walk on water. And we got in the break and I said to Dan, I've lived in Green Bay. In January, I can walk on water because it's all frozen. And so we got on there later and Sterling said something again. And Dan said, well, listen, it's Green Bay. Everything freezes. I could walk on water. And I'm just like, okay, note to self, keep your good stuff.
Damn it.
But that was a big deal. That was, to do a Super Bowl, a Sunday night after the Super Bowl with Dan Patrick, you're like, okay, this is pretty nice. This is a good day. And then I was lucky for 20 more years. I had other great days. How's that for my list?
I think that will suffice, none to say in the least.
There you go. Last night was good too.
I agree.
Yeah. Last one, best one. That's what track coaches always say. Last one, best one.
We are back, the Inside Wisconsin show. Trevor and guest John Anderson, longtime ESPN SportsCenter anchor, had his last show. And so he so graciously allowed me to finally do the show that we've been wanting to do for some time, to be the guest.
I have fought that for a while. Yeah.
Yes,
but then I did say, like, who are you going to get as a co-host then if I got to be here?
And answered all of our listeners and viewers. So we put it out the last 3 days. If you would like to ask John some questions and interact, please send them our way, because you are co-hosting, meaning the listeners and viewers. All right. I've got a bunch. I'll do my best to sift through these and try not to be repetitive. What's that?
I'll be like Boomer. Bring me on a single. I'll be quick.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what he used to say. Right. Just come to a single. I'll be quick. And then like a minute and a half later, they're like, okay, we're overtime. Boom. We got to get off air.
That's awesome. This first one is from a guy named Mike Hall. He said, and you mentioned it already, how do you feel about squirrels that can water ski?
Nothing better. It's the best. It is the best thing in TV. When my Twiggy the water skiing squirrel, right? He's on every local show all the time. One of my best friends in the business, Mizzou grad, came after me, but we worked together in Tulsa. Eventually, I helped him get a job. He worked for ESPN for a dozen years, named Brett Austin. And when he got a job as a news director, I sent him the Walter Williams, who was the founder of the Missouri Journalism School, his creed, right? Which starts, I believe in the profession of journalism. It's a wonderful thing. And I sent it in a frame. And then I said, by the way, take that out of the frame, the real thing's behind it. And it was a picture of Twiggy the water skiing squirrel. Because Mike, you just can't go wrong with that guy. Can't go wrong.
That's awesome.
Mike Hall, by the way, as you know, Mizzou idiot at the Big Ten Network. Won a game show, ended up on our air. Love him. Couldn't be better. The dream. Everybody calls him the dream. Because he loves you. He won the dream job.
So we talked about it a little bit. Somebody asked, do you have a favorite memory or a favorite highlight that you narrated while anchoring? Does one stick out?
Boy, as a highlight, that'd be really hard to find. Nothing that just jumps out that I go, that's amazing. I just know that it was always fun to do Super Bowls or Game 7s, things like that. It might have been a CC Sabathia game when he got going for the Brewers. Those were kind of exciting moments when he had that great, the world's greatest deadline pickup. But I don't know that I have one that I've saved the shot sheet and gone, ooh, I love that. I've saved some shot sheets, but usually because of the mistakes I think are so funny. Like somebody putting Euro 2020, and it was between Brazil and Paraguay, who are not on the European tectonic plate at all. Or the guy who, they'll phonetically spell things just so that if you have to, say Hobby Bulin if you don't know it. And I got one once where they gave me the phonetic spelling of Massachusetts.
Tough one. Super tough.
Maybe where he grew up, he didn't get the all 50 states. So
okay. Somebody wants to know, what are your top 5 memories from high school? I told them to just watch John Wisconsin. We're not doing that again. They're all there.
Okay. There's some of them, yeah. Like setting the school high jump record was pretty cool. That was
Yeah.
good. Graduation was kind of fun. Love being in the school plays. And if you ever go back, we killed it and bring back Birdie and killed it in Pirates of Penzance, and just, bunch of good guys, swimming pools, the like,
Horses.
planetariums, horse. Again, the horses, I don't know entirely if I was involved in that.
Yeah. Neither apparently do the guys that texted you think they're involved. Hey, you teased it last night in the show. Somebody says, now that he's off the air, will he be joining social media?
I don't know. I think there might be a chance because if I'm going to go teach so many people, that's how so many people in this generation communicate and talk to each other and get their news, that I think I might have to do that because that'll be a job requirement. And if I do, it'll be great. I just will probably not take comments and I will also not post the bagel that I'm having for breakfast and the book I'm reading.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I'm a little aware. I'll say this. So, right, because TikTok or Twitter, I think, can be kind of poisonous. I don't know if I ever told you the advice Dan Patrick gave me about when you get letters in the mail.
No, I don't think so.
So Dan always said, listen, if you're going to get letters, people are going to watch. If you get letters, what you should do is read from the bottom up.
Oh.
If you start at the bottom and it says sincerely or thank you or best, Trevor Thomas, then go read the rest of it. If the bottom says, go to hell, you bastard, throw it out, because probably the body of that's not going to be that great. So it was a great tip. Read from the bottom up. Read what they say in the old salutation. If it's not great, then you just don't even bother, because the rest of it's not going to be good. So yeah, little tip for everybody out there.
Bottom up. Got it.
Yeah. Right.
Jeez.
Now, like if you get a letter from your mom or somebody, your grandmother, chances are it's going to be safe to read from the top. But if it's just, unknown, or they come from correctional facilities and things like that, read from the bottom up.
Jeez, that's crazy. People know that you're a big golfer. Here's a couple golf questions.
Okay.
What's your favorite club in your bag?
I hit a driver pretty well. Nothing else.
So the driver.
Yeah.
Somebody mentions here, what is your lowest round, where and with who?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I had been struggling like crazy all summer. It was terrible. And then last week, I went with a college friend and two buddies from upstate New York so it was Roger, whose name is actually the Dodge, Craig Gelbsma, who is the Maestro, and then Bob Escher, who's Bob, and we went to Leatherstocking Golf Course, which is in Cooperstown. It's fantastic. And I shot a mean little 78.
Oh,
yeah. And nearly had a hole in one of the same par 4 that I have my only hole in one. Jeez. I hit this drive and it just came and it had a little 3-yard draw and it hit in front and it started rolling, and it had to go right by we were all like, oh my God. Like we just jumped in the cart and just, why is there a governor on this thing? We got to go. We got to cover these 280 yards to see where it was. And it ended up on the back of the green about 30 feet by, right behind the hole. So like I nearly did it again. But yeah, so I had a lovely 78 and only missed like one shot all day that was terrible. Everything else I hit pretty darn good.
Happy for you. That doesn't happen to me.
Doesn't happen to me very often.
For those that don't know, you didn't just do Wipeout. You were also on SportsCenter. But boy, do you have a lot of Wipeout fans out there from all those years that you were on that show. 9 seasons, right?
7 seasons, and then syndication for wherever. You can still see it once in a while.
Yeah, so fun. So here's a couple Wipeout questions. Do you have a most memorable Wipeout moment?
Yeah, there was a guy. He was early on. What was his name? It was Katie Drew colored a picture of the guy, Jacob something. And he was the first guy that really injured himself on the big balls, and he had done the split and just got it in the man region, something fierce. So that one kind of sticks out. And then we learned along the way. We had one where it was early on the first season as well, and there was this kind of like treadmill they were on, or like a walkway, and they had like swim fins on and goggles. I don't know if you remember this. And then we would put like beach toys on there. It started small. Here's a rubber ducky. Then it was a pail. And then it was, a boogie board. And then people would then fall down and whoever stayed on the longest. Well, when they first did it, they had no idea. So this person, about the third person through, they went down and they put their hands down to stop themselves and broke both wrists. So then if you, in further incarnations of that, you always saw they had wrist guards on. Either that or you're like, wow, these people bowl regularly and with both hands. So some of those things along the way. And then just every time John Henson made me laugh, that I would bust a take was kind of funny. And I'll say this to people, I may have said it before. I felt sorry for John at times because he is so powerfully funny and he would say the funniest things. And we're like, that's going to be great. And then this older lady would come around from behind the curtain and say, you can't say that on network TV at 8 at night. And so the standards and practices lady, the censor, would come out and kill it. So then that poor guy had to sell another joke that wasn't nearly as funny, but he had to put his heart in it and really give it. And then if somebody went, what a dumb joke, he'd be like, I know, the funny one you wouldn't let me say. So I remember that a lot.
Did you ever run the course or take on the big balls?
No. And I'll give you the quick version of that too. Paul Azinger, PJ champ, right? Golfer.
Okay, yeah.
Azinger gave me the same thing. And he said, Anderson, have you run no. And it's the same thing. Have you seen what happens to the people that run that course? Why on earth would you do that? No. I would like to have gone down one of the big slides or something in the first wipeout zone and go through there. But I said, no. And he goes, well, I don't think you should be allowed to commentate on it if you haven't done it. And I said, Paul, we're at the U.S. Open. I'm going to commentate on that. And so far, the USGA has not offered me an exemption spot to play in this tournament. So if you can get me in the U.S. Open, then I will go run the course. And that ended the debate. And I've still not done either one of them.
Jeez, that's funny. There's a lot. We have at least 5 more minutes in this segment, so I'm going to keep going. What are your future
internet? We could go for 20, but anyway.
Hey, it's up to you, man. I got nothing going, and turns out not going anywhere fast.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned in the past that you're able to stay on at ESPN and keep doing the track and field stuff. So what are some of those future track and field plans?
There's 8 of them. I'll do the New York and Boston marathons for as long as those people will have me, right? Because they have a say. Then I will do the SEC and the NCAA stuff. So there's 3 meets there. There's the cross country meet, indoor championships, and outdoor championships. So those 3 by the SEC, those 3 by the NCAA, and then I have the 2 marathons, which is unbelievable. Amounts to about 20 days. And most importantly, the SEC, because they added OU and Texas, they've expanded their indoor championships from 2 days to 3 days. This is significant because my new part-time deal calls for me to be on air 20 days. And it was at 19. And they said, well, the 20th, we'll let you just keep doing the hot dog contest. And I really didn't want to continue to do that. It was fun, but it's also on the 4th of July, which people like to hang out with their family on 4th of July. And so soon as the SEC went to 3 days, I called them and like, hey, here's day 20. I will be in wherever it is for an extra day at the cross country meet. Hot dogs out. So I don't know what they'll do this year. No Kobayashi, Joey Chestnut's out, and I won't be there. It's probably going to be a disaster.
Yep, total disaster.
No, it'll be great. Yeah.
Will you be coming home more often here in Wisconsin?
I think so. Yeah, like I'm coming home in 2 weeks. I came because I wasn't going to be able to see my son all summer, and then he shows up. But yeah, I'm going to go home to the home opener for sure. Levy's doing that on ESPN radio. So I kind of plan to do that. And the gal that is the Colts chief content person, a wonderful woman by the name of Lara Overton Tucker, she's coming. Her whole family's got a B&B, Airbnb that they're over on Rockdale. And so she sent it to me like, oh, if you go this way, you're not even a mile from my old house, and you're less than a mile from boy Todd Teskey's house. If you want to see those 2 things, they're not on the tour, but we can get you there. So I'm coming back for that one. The NCAA cross country meet in November. It is always the Saturday before Thanksgiving. So I'll be in Madison to do that. And then the very next day, the Packers host the 49ers. And then a few days from that, there's the Dolphins game. So I think I'll be home for that week as well. Awesome. So those are right there. That's way more than I ever get home.
Right. And then you went and got a big boy job. Not that this wasn't a big boy job, but yeah, what's up with the School of Journalism at Missouri, and why? I guess somebody wanted to know, why do you love teaching?
Yeah. So like everybody that goes, oh, congratulations on your retirement. I'm like, I'm going from like a full-time job to now a full-time job and a part-time job. Like I'm the worst. I retire like a boxer, which is terrible. Yeah. Like it's not a great retirement. So yeah, I get to go back to my alma mater, which is great. I've kind of been aiming to do that. I didn't know it was going to be at Missouri. I've looked at some other places, had some other fun offers. And I like that part of it. As maybe that's because as you grow old and you're 59 and somebody brings you a shot sheet at 22 and they're like, and this guy's name is Mike Yastrzemski. And I'm like, right. Do you remember his grandfather, Carl? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, let me tell you how great Carl was. And then they go, well, I wasn't alive when he played. And then as I do with you, Trevor, in 1983, I'm like, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation? And they go, Abraham Lincoln. I'm like, were you alive for that? Because that's curious that you knew that one.
Yeah.
So, so I kind of like that. I've had a bunch of people gosh, I mean, I have so many emails and so many texts from people. It's going to be maddening to try to catch up with it all. But I've enjoyed that, and I've gone at UMass and worked in their do some things with their journalism students, which has just been great fun. And oddly enough, last January, before any of this came up, I've given money to the journalism school before in philanthropic efforts, which is great. But I called them and I said, hey, I've got some free time. Can I just come and spend like 3 days in the classroom looking at kids' tapes or helping them or talking to them? Because sometimes money is great, but actually time is more valuable. And I've just enjoyed that a bunch. And so that's the draw. And the idea to go back to a place that was so good to me is really appealing. And I'm really fortunate that, their time schedule and my time schedule works. And so 41 years after I got there as a freshman, I'll get to go back.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 more. Were you ever pulled into the boss's office? And if so, why?
Yeah, more than once. Let's see. There was not a lot. The first time was when I said that there was a line shot down third base, nearly wiped a guy out. And I said, well, that's why Leo DeRocher said that God watches over drunks and third basemen. They didn't care for that. I got called in the office for remember when Roger Clemens may have had a dalliance with a 16-year-old Mindy McCready or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so he had done something significant, and I may have said something like hide Molly Cyrus. So that was bad. There was the serious one, obviously. Well, I didn't really get called in the office. We visited about the horrible, mistake I made when I made the joke about Zach Whitecloud's name. That was bad on me. Hopefully I still, apologize for that. Still was just a bad move. And there was, what was the other one? There was something else where when the Maurice Claret, the running back for Ohio State, remember he had all his troubles and he was getting all in trouble. And I said, he's truly a Buckeye. He's a poisonous nut. And they didn't like when I said that either. So on occasion, it was usually for saying something that I thought was super clever and turned out might have been too clever. And what is it? Too clever by half. So, but on occasion. But otherwise, I got through pretty good. I got a really nice note the morning of on Friday from Jimmy Pitaro, who's the president of ESPN. And we had met for the first time shortly after he took over at this Disney Service Award when I was doing my 20th. And then the pandemic came and we never were able to kind of hook up. And then, he's worried about streaming. And I said, listen, the fact I never had to go to your office and you never felt compelled to mine made me feel like that's pretty good, that we're on even ground. And I have not hurt the brand or the product and that I wasn't causing anybody headaches.
Were there moments that made you emotional, positive or negative? You were anchoring during some of the craziest times, right? 9/11. I'm sure that you were in the office at some point during that, or 2020 during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Was there anything that was like, I mean, Stuart Scott passed away, right? Was there anything that got you?
Yeah. Stuart's was hard, and I was by far not the closest guy to Stuart. I mean, Stuart and I were very good friends, but Van Pelt was much closer to him. Sage Steele was much closer to him. But I had worked with him a bunch, and knowing who he was, that was hard. John Saunders was really hard when he passed away. John had been a great mentor to me, always took time and said, hey, let's go to lunch. And we'd just visit about anything. And on those nights, like, we tried to make sure we did things really well for them and try to think of little small touches that would be mindful. Like, I believe you go back, Stuart, when we said goodbye, because Levy had worked with him so much, I left, Steve sat there and I stepped out of the chair. And with John, like, let's make sure let's find the last thing he did on air with when he used to do these sports reporter, closing points when he did that. So that was hard. Trying to think of other ones that were really the hardest. I should have made a lot of lists before this so I could have answered some of these questions better, because you're not the first person that's had those that had come through. But, you couldn't help be moved by a lot of stories that Tom Rinaldi did. It was always the joke, right? You get 9.5 minutes and 2 boxes of Kleenexes. But Tom did stories that were really amazing. And then I'm sure there was just a live event or two where something happened that you're just like, wow, that's like, I think of more of those, just like the last 2 weeks ago when I was at the NCAA track championships, kid from Georgia, Christopher Morales Williams, when he got done, his mom had passed away when he was very young, and now he's the NCAA champ, and he's looking for his dad, like Jim Craig in the crowd. He comes to me, have you seen my dad? Have you seen my dad? I'm like, yeah, he's right here. Or a woman that ran for Ole Miss, Mackenzie Long, who had lost her mother unexpectedly at like 48 and dedicated the season to her. And we were very respectful, giving her space. And, the guy who was their SID at Ole Miss, a guy named Tyler Wooten, is an unbelievably talented guy. How are we going to handle this? Listen, if she wins the 100, don't worry. I know she's got other events. We won't get her in. We get her at the last one. And to hear her talk about her mom, and her dad was there just behind him. And he's sitting there and he's trying to just observe that there's a rail there. And I'm like, dude, come out here, and like, here, let me open the gate. And he came out. So those things are always just, amazing. And they're not always steeped in tragedy. Some are just guys that unexpectedly win. And it's neat to see the emotion of those people. There's a gal that won the 800 in Boise State, Christy Schofield. And she just sat there and she's like, I just can't believe I won. I just can't believe I won. Every practice I ever finished was, I'm going to run this last quarter so hard because I'm winning the championship. But I didn't think that would happen, So those are the things that are every once in a while I'm like, good, I needed that. I'm not a cold, heartless, black-hearted bastard. I only make fun of you and your clumsiness, but for a lot of other people, I have great empathy.
Yeah. Thanks. I think. Well, this will be a great question to end this segment on then. Somebody literally typed up, like, what is your favorite dumb thing that Trevor said?
See, where it's really hard to figure out moments from SportsCenter for 25 years, that's the easiest question in the world, right?
There's a lot to choose from, but the floor is yours.
So I don't know, guys, if you know this. Trevor believes that Joe Thomas is the 37th best player ever to play for the Wisconsin Badgers and Coach Barry Alvarez, when in fact he might be the first. And certainly he's in the top 2. Okay. And there's no way you can put 2 people in front of him the whole time. So that is by far the dumbest thing. And listen, you're right. There's a laundry list, but it's a large bag of stuff. But there is one that is, there's the gold medal, and then there's everybody else tied for second. Actually, there's the gold medal, and there's nobody else even on the podium. So there's like Joe Thomas is only the 42nd best player ever to go play for the Badgers, is first, second, and third, and then all the rest of the dumb stuff. But anybody that would think Joe Thomas, Hall of Famer, great player, first-round draft pick, is the 57th best player in Badger history is idiotic.
By the time you're done, he's not even going to be in the top 100. All right, thanks for your questions, everybody, including that last one, Steve. You're an ass. I love you, too.
You had to know that was the answer, didn't you?
He even made a note, like, during the KT episode, the Quick Trip episode, where I said that croissant was an Italian word.
Well, that is dumb, but that's not as dumb as saying Joe Thomas is the 68th best Badger ever.
And with my luck, that was in episode 1. And we've had nothing but, it's just been nothing but up from
there.
there.
Let it go, right? I don't think I've mentioned it in about a year, so I'm kind of glad that we get to revisit that.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, that's it. We're done. Thank you for all your questions. It was really fun to read these and compile them. If you didn't hear your specific wording, it's because somebody else had the exact same question. All right. Yes, it is lightning round time when we get back, and I wrote the lightning round questions. Remember, there's 2 to start. And then we'll go for a lightning round, the ever famous JA lightning round.
I got to answer the 2 sappy ones too.
Tom Rinaldi's coming out back in a second. The Inside Wisconsin Show.
I know one of the co-hosts. I'm going to get this struck.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review. Smash the like button. Just get with us. Last time, in the last show, we talked about all the fireworks that Festival Foods does all across the state of Wisconsin.
Yes.
The Festival Foods fireworks. It is 4th of July. This is going down, but it would not be a holiday weekend without stocking up on all the essentials.
Yeah.
For like a vacation, whether it's Door County or up to the Northwoods. We go to Festival and take it all with us rather than hit the podunk spot and spend 4 times as much. Festival's all about savings. So if you're going there and filling the basket, JA, for like, let's say a 3-day weekend, pick your proteins. That's what I want to know. What are the proteins that you got to have for a 3-day up in the North
First
Woods?
off, I hate that term. I hate that. That's become so catchy. Like, would you like protein on your salad? What do you mean? No, like chicken. Like what?
Catchy.
Peanut butter? Yeah, it's like that's a buzzword now. Everybody's got to have a protein. Can't we just say meats?
Sure.
You know,
I don't know why that became a thing. I always thought that was a thing.
I'm like, I don't like that. Like, it's a thing, like a protein for whatever. I'm like, what is that? That's just so, it sounds terrible. So,
what meats would you get?
All the, I just need, see, as you know, we've gone through a little of this. I'm a simple man.
Very simple. Yeah, very simple.
Give me a patty. Give me a nice burger patty. Give me some hot dogs. I'm good. Brats also. Don't need 27, God bless all the varieties. In that case, I can do with, like, a brat, a hot dog, and a burger, right? That's just your strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate ice cream. I'm good there.
Do you ever spice it up like pepper jack cheese or jalapenos?
Not a lot. By the way, if you go to this, there's a website, Awful Announcing, right? Which is, it sounds like it's not that courteous, but they keep track of all things sports-related media.
Yeah.
And so I did a little thing with them about my last show. And then at the end, they said, do you have a top 5 cheeses? And so I didn't really, but I went into about how you should always use American cheese on a cheeseburger and don't fall for the cheddar as a gourmet. So that's in there. The big thing is I got to have a coleslaw, right? But I need to be mayonnaise based and not vinegar based.
Okay.
And I realize, right, you're taking your life in your own hands, because if you leave that out too long, right, we're courting salmonella. Same with potato salad, same thing, or potatoes, same thing. I want a little mayonnaise mustard base. I don't want the German potato salad. So I need those. And then if I have potato salad and I have some coleslaw, that's good. If you want to give me a baked bean, I'll take that. Right. Like I'm pretty, like those are pretty much the 4 food groups, right? I don't need anything crazy,
And you can
I
buy
like
all
deviled
those
eggs,
things,
but not mandatory. A lot of these other things.
I love deviled eggs. You can buy all those things by the pound at Festival Foods. That tells you they know what they're doing.
I don't want to buy the pound. I want to buy the 55-gallon drum.
The vat. Well, whether it's the 4th of July weekend or any other holiday weekend, and you're firing up the grill, make sure to head to Festival Foods and get your meats and your proteins, if that's what you want to get, and all the sides. It's all there. Bestfoods.com. All right, we're back to wrap it up with guests on the Inside Wisconsin show. John Anderson, longtime ESPN SportsCenter anchor, coming off of his last SportsCenter last night. This has been really fun. All right, 2 from me, and then the lightning round. Nothing changes here.
I'm trying to think. Did I supply my own questions for the lightning round?
No, as a matter of fact, I have it on tape. I believe that said I'm not writing any for the lightning round, which I said, good. It's my turn.
All right. Sorry.
Okay, 2 for me. Number 1, do you have a favorite moment from last night? Your last show, hour long, so many things. Was there this one moment that you're like, damn, that was awesome?
The Leroy Butler thing was really cool and unexpected, and turn around and see pictures of my whole family at that Christmas Day game outside Lambeau Field was a shocker, and having Nicole sit down and visit was kind of great. And then also, just a little back and forth with Bucci and I love Levy dearly. I love Linda dearly. But Bucci and I, other than our golf swings, like we're the same guy, like Levy is an amazing guy, but Levy grew up on Long Island, right? He's a Jewish kid from Long Island. And I'm a Protestant kid which by the way makes me a minority in Green Bay too, Protestant kid from the Midwest. Right. I can't anymore figure out exactly where the 5 boroughs start and end in New York any more than he knows the difference between Indiana, Ohio, Iowa, and Wisconsin. That's why last night at one point, you're from Kansas City, right? Yep. That's easiest. But Bucci as a Midwest guy, and just we grew up at the same time. And as I said, whether it was the Midwest, whether it's golf, whether it was David Letterman, whether it was football, we are so much alike, have so much in common. And so to see him, and he really wanted to do the show, but couldn't because of that stupid NHL draft. That part was great too. And I knew he was coming. I knew he was going to be on. And I'm like, am I going to get to go talk to Bucci? And they said, yes. So that one I had a little inkling, didn't know we were going to have all the great photos and all those stuff. And he really is. What people don't know is he is a terrific father to his daughter and his 2 sons, who, by the way, his son Jack just finished in a tie for 8th, I think it was, at the New Hampshire Open and earned his first professional check.
Awesome.
He shot 68, 68, 70 to cash for $1,000, which is way more than Jack Nicklaus made in his first one. And then, his father recently passed away. And if you follow Bucci, he's big on social media, and read his tribute to his father. Bucci's adopted. I don't know if you know that. His father and mother, and now he's back in Massachusetts taking care of his mom, his elderly mother. So he is not only a wonderful father, but he's an even better son.
Yeah, great guy. I talked to him actually leading into your last show. He called me with a couple questions, and I'm like, I know nothing. He was wondering what your kids' names were. It must have been for the photos at the end for any type of credit. Good dude. Really love him.
Yep.
All right. Ironically, back to your son, Colin. You mentioned him a couple times earlier in the broadcast.
Yeah.
He showed up last night. It is a dad's dream that our sons follow in our footsteps. Although that wasn't the original plan, Colin is in broadcasting now. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. I guess it means he was watching like he knew what I did. Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I just want him to be his own guy and be what he wants to be. And if it's that great, and if because of what I did had some influence is really neat. Hopefully I can help him along the way. And not like nepotism, like, hey, the Lakers are going to draft you in the 2nd round and put you on the roster. like Bronny, because I think you got to make your own way. And I joke about Bronny. If he can't play, they'll show, and then it'll show John. If it turns out he can't play, then that's a different thing. But hopefully he'll listen, and I think he does some. And so that is kind of neat. It was totally, like I said, totally unexpected. The few times that we'd ever talked about it, it never came up. When he was talking about school, when it was talking about classwork in high school, never came up, never thought it was a thing. And then while some people worry about it, like we hear, oh my gosh, ESPN's changed, they're going downhill, what are they going to be? Right now the media is in a bad spot because I will say this as a journalist, so I'm a First Amendment guy. I think the 46th president or the president, the previous administration, undermined the press in a horrible way. And so America distrusts it terribly. They should not, if you listen to the right spots. I won't get on that soapbox very much, but there are a lot of people that are down on that. They're down on ESPN, and I'm not. I think people will always need to have news. I know they're trying only to kind of find their own news anymore. But sports still seems to be a safe haven. You know, I told them I went to a Missouri game and they played the national anthem. It was crazy. Everybody stood up, right? Like I thought, oh, obviously only the Republicans will stand up or only the Democrats will stand up. No, it turns out everybody stood up. So I said, I wish we had a little longer version of the national anthem so we could all be together, you know. So it's cool. I'm very excited for him. I help where I can, but also, you know, if you're going to have your style, you need to do your own stuff and not be constrained too much. So every once in a while, like I just say, make sure you know the difference between further and farther, and you know, little things like that. But it's really kind of a neat thing. I'm anxious to watch him develop and grow. He's pretty good.
It's awesome. Okay, lightning round time.
I'm
jacked. I think I have 11 questions. I lied. All right, here we go. The ever famous JA lightning round, Trevor Thomas edition. All right, here we go. Number 1. Did you go to hair and makeup for your last show?
No, I haven't been to hair and makeup in 15 years.
Thought maybe you would have done it for your last one.
Never.
You mentioned last night. What's the total number of shows you anchored on ESPN?
I said it at the top. I think 4,321 was the final count. And that's just, I said, those are days that I had SportsCenter. So like sometimes we did 2 shows and sometimes we did 3. And sometimes that show re-aired in the morning 10 times. So like that would be in the, 5 figures. That'd be 10,000. But in terms of just days that you will do SportsCenter day, 4-3-2-1.
4-3-2-1. And you mentioned, I don't know what this is. What is a day planner exactly?
Exactly. I got them all. Yeah. The stuff that you do on your phone, I write down. Otherwise, I won't remember it.
Chicken wings, bone in or bone out?
In.
Messy, though. Have you ever driven a vehicle in a foreign country where you get in on the wrong side of the car and drive on the wrong side of the road?
Yeah, when I visited my buddy Rick Crossland in London. Mm-hmm.
Is that not terrifying?
No, I'll tell you what is terrifying, and this is from my boy Van Pelt. The one time I covered the British Open at St. Andrews, we were in a car. They were driving us from Edinburgh over, and he was in the front seat, and it'd been the overnight flight, right? So you're kind of in and out, sleepy. He goes, there's nothing more terrifying than kind of, you do that whim wham, fall asleep and wake up and you realize you're on the wrong side of the road. And he goes, like, it takes a minute to go, wait, I feel like that's crazy. Because so that can be jarring just as a passenger.
What's the worst sports injury you've ever had?
When I exploded my ankle in college. So that was really bad. And then the follow-ups were worse. I got really infected. And then oddly enough, I was working as a parkie, right, at John Muir Park. It was one of the people watching the things. And the infection kind of came back. It turned out that I had these sutures. I had this allergic reaction. So all of a sudden, I don't want to get too gross, but there was a little kind of leakage that shouldn't have been there. So I go right to the orthopod and he's like, we should just do this now. So I was in his office down there over by Military and Main Street down there, just past the Perkins. And
last night.
Yeah, we got Blake Perkins in there, made a nice catch. And he's like, here's what we're going to do. You're going to turn around. I'm going to Novocaine this up. And he just slipped me open right there and pulled out the stitches that were working their way out. So that was bad. But when I blew up my ankle, that was really bad. I crushed my knee. I busted up my kneecap before my senior year too, but that wasn't nearly as bad as the other one.
Do you have any injuries that are non-sports related to speak?
I don't think so. When I hurt my shoulder, that was because I tried to throw a baseball too far. I blew up. My knee was a skiing thing. No, I have found that for 59 years, I have successfully gotten up off bar stools without major injuries.
There was my next question. You ever fallen off a bar stool? No? Good.
No, but you know what? I have several.
Bar stools?
Yeah, in the basement. Yeah. Guy named Joe Hayden from Barberville, Kentucky, who was a classmate of mine. We decided that every once in a while we'd just walk out with one. and see how many we could do. And so then when they'd be signed, I have one down in the basement that still says, it's got the date on it. And it was like, we were like free chair night, buy 6 beers. They give you the chair for free. And so, Joseph P. Hayden, now doctor. He's got a doctorate of letters, a man of words, Joseph P. Hayden, Barberville, Kentucky.
If not vodka or Miller Lite or Pepsi, then what?
If not vodka, Miller. Yeah, I love a good vodka gimlet. Ooh, just don't put mushrooms in it. That's what my brother did. I'm not good for that. Don't like an olive. I'll take a lime. If not Pepsi, probably a McDonald's Fountain Coke.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, probably that.
We're big on that too. All right, 2 more. Somebody mentioned during the viewer question segments that they wondered why John never had that one tagline that stuck. And I'm without blasting this person, I was like, yes, he did. Fear the deer.
Yeah.
Don't drink and slide. The cheese is binding. The power of cheese.
Don't drink and slide, by the way, is Gus Ramsey, who
Okay.
is one of our great CPs, who now teaches at Full Sail University and does stuff for Dan. He's the one that said one time, "Be careful, you don't want to drink and slide." I'm like, I'm going to borrow that. Thanks. Don't drink and slide. Mm-hmm.
So what's your favorite one that you had over all the years?
I don't know if it's my favorite. I'll say this. We have a wall as you walk through. I don't know if you've seen it, right? With all the
I remember that, yeah.
right? Bartender Jack from Neil, some of Dan's great ones, Kenny's. Literally when Nicole brought out the cheeses and the summer sausage, right? Kenny used to say that, "I'm king of the diamond. Bring me your finest meats and cheeses. We'll have a clubhouse feast." So I only have one up there, and it's he gave up smoking for Christmas, or gave up smoking. He gave up cigarettes, but he didn't give up smoking. So that's probably one that I used a lot. And then the other one I used, which was my old gym teacher, Don Ruskusky, and the track coach at Green Bay Southwest, that people from Green Bay that went to high school with me noticed when I interjected. I'll say that was a great effort. And effort is the key to success. And that's what Don Ruskusky used to always say. Effort is the key to success.
Okay, last 2 more. There's one good one at the end. Here we go. Why did you choose not to make a brand for yourself? Not so much a lightning round question, but one that I kind of forgot from earlier. Scott Van Pelt, Greeny, Bucci is a huge online presence, but you, I think, deliberately chose not to do that. How come?
Well, one, yeah, I refused for the longest time on the social media thing. I get it, but I didn't want to let it in my pocket. And along with social media, I say this all the time. I'm not that smart. I don't know that many good things, and I don't want to give them away for free at 3:00 in the afternoon when I might have to say it at 11. And then the guy I was with last night, Steve Levy, is the best answer for it. We were sitting at the desk, and a ESPN guy who no longer works there came in, and he was taking a picture of himself on the set that he was going to tweet out. And, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, in your way. He goes, "Hey, gotta do the brand, gotta increase the brand, blah, blah." And Levy turned around, and there was a SportsCenter at Night logo. And he turned around, he goes, "You want to know my brand?" He goes, "That's my brand. That's my brand. My brand is ESPN and SportsCenter. That's my brand. I'll take that." And hopefully, it did way more for me than I'll ever do for it. I'm glad I could be in the line of people that were part of it. But that's it. I'll just take the Steve Levy line. I have a brand. It's ESPN SportsCenter. That's my brand. It's not John Anderson. I'm good with that.
Boom, I didn't want to jump on that. That's incredible. All right, last one. Your last SportsCenter aired last night, 11 o'clock Central, but that was not the last SportsCenter you made an appearance on. Did you accidentally walk on the set of the next show? You said that on the show last night. What happened?
Yeah, no, I just didn't know it was there. No, they purposely took a wide shot so that they could do what they call a seamless transition. So I was walking. I didn't know that was happening. So at first I thought, did I walk in the shot? And then I realized it was wide enough. They had Levy in there and the whole thing. So yeah, technically I appeared on that one, and I felt terrible because I know what that is. Like I said, we just messed up the A's. Like now they had to go retape the top of their show, even a little bit. And there's a spot where they can do that. But that cost them 7 minutes. And it was 1 something, which means whatever it was, it wasn't me. The way they chose to do that is that they had to work 7 more minutes. And you just don't want to see that with people that late at night. Like you want them to get on and you want people to get off. And so I feel bad. Look how passionate was I even made my camera move. So that's why. So yeah, they knew it. And what you didn't see is that while Nicole was reading, I went over and gave Zubin a hug. And then when Zubin started his highlight, I went over and gave her a big hug.
Awesome.
And
I laughed that entire show last night.
And then I said, as I said to both of them, well, now that I don't work here anymore, I can make out with both of you. I didn't say that. I did say that I texted that to an old director of mine, a guy named Vic D, who's the biggest Packer fan going. But I said, yeah, now that we don't work together, we can make out. He just said, you're such an idiot. So,
and that's our show.
He sent back one of the things that I said one time on a SportsCenter that he enjoyed, right? And he just I expected more from a varsity letterman, which is one of my favorite things when somebody screws up. I kind of expected more from a varsity letterman.
Well, we have a fun John Wisconsin segment after this, but J.A., from me, man, thanks for doing this. I know it's not about you, but I hope you saw last night and the weeks leading up to it that as much as you don't want it to be about you, but you helped build a lot of us. So Thanks for letting me tell your story.
Yep, it was nice. And I did appreciate it. I don't want everybody to think I didn't appreciate it or want to belittle that. It's been amazing from the first time it was announced that I was leaving to leading up to last night. And last night, it's overwhelming. That'll literally take some time to process. I always say the worst question you can ask people in the immediate aftermath of something that's emotional is, how do you feel? Mm-hmm. It's a great question, but it's a horrible question in the moment because nobody nobody knows what they feel. How often do you hear that? And people go, I can't even describe it. It's beyond words. Right. I'm like, okay, that's no good. I needed words. And so, I might have different answers in 2 weeks or a month. But it was, so I don't mean to belittle. That was terrific. But in all of sports, I am my least favorite subject.
And you're not the least favorite subject for a lot of people.
There you go.
All right, buddy. Well, tell your people thanks for helping line this up. And and now we go to a fun John Wisconsin. All right. Thanks, Jay.
We want you to do a whole lot more than just save money. We want your money to grow, just like your dreams. We want you to achieve financial well-being and the feelings that go along with that. Capital Credit Union, doing the right thing.
Was that as fun for you as it was for me, Jay?
Well, how about this? It wasn't as painful as I thought it might be, which is like saying the exact same thing, only different.
It was not too painful, was it? So no. I'm excited for this John Wisconsin. I'm done with these questions. I can close the laptop on this end. This was all your idea. What are we doing?
Well, I have begun the process of cleaning out my office. There were several boxes. And I said, well, what if I just brought home some boxes that had been boxed up? Because I've moved a couple offices. And the last one, when we moved, I'm like, it was just before the pandemic. So I'm like, what if I just open boxes for my office and see what's in there?
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do.
In the worst way, I want something to say confidential that you don't know.
I don't think it'll be anything like that. I think it could be more Al Capone's vault than anything else. But all
right, here we go.
Look, this is I'll just show you. We got this. Here, this is just a box.
Okay. So and you haven't looked in these?
No. So we're taking that off. Okay. So this used to hang. This hanged in my office. This is the basically the 127 most important things to remember at impact on your golf swing. Okay, so that hung in my office by my light switch. Control aggression, less is more. Turn middle half as far. Knee flex. Yeah, so that's it. So there's that. There's a bunch of old scripts that I have saved. I save ones that I like. Let's see, what do we got here? Having never been to this is the script. Having never been to a Met Gala or the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition launch party, I cannot say with certainty that Chiefs OTAs is probably a come down. I don't even know what that is. Okay. So here we go. Trev.
Yeah. Yes. That's the Italian. Think that's the bratwurst.
Yep. So here's the thing. And I had the other two. One I gave to a young man who was in the hospital who thought the hot dog was getting jobbed and it was fixed. And then I gave the Polish to Tony Gwynn when the Brewers drafted Anthony Gwynn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But this guy, as you can see, this is where Randall Simon hit him with the bat. So we put
Is
a
there a
little
Band-Aid on there?
Yeah, there's a Band-Aid on there. Yeah, because Randall Simon hit him with a bat.
There was one on his head too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
As you know, I love the former. So all the rest that's in here are scripts, and then there's like Sammy Sosa bobblehead. But here you go. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
My goodness. There's other ones in here you don't know. There's Randy Johnson. There is Shane Doan from the thing. So look at that.
Robin Yount. Ooh, that is. Can I have that?
Do you have
I
Robin?
have that one.
Do you have Super Y, Yvonne Gallardo?
I don't. That's awesome.
And then my favorite.
Cecil Cooper. Yes, look at that.
Okay, so there's that, and then I may have said this. See, this is mean. I may have saved this. You were glued to them on His and Hers, and now you'll want to stick around and watch SC6 with Michael and Jamel. That didn't go so well.
Oh, oopsies.
Well, we kept that just I don't know, just to show that on occasion, not everything goes as planned.
Yeah.
That happens.
Uh-huh.
Look at those.
That's
All right.
amazing.
And then let's see what's in this other one. I have a giant here. I'm going to just do this, and then I'll put it back. Look, I have this giant red tub over here.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, hang on. We'll see.
All right.
We're just going to
Couple
pop
more
up.
items.
Oh, okay.
One of these times we're going to do your top 5. Oh,
Here we go. Look, there it is. That's the album that I got back from Pat Murphy. That was in Pat
no
Murphy.
way.
That's it. Yep. And as you can tell, it's bootleg. It's just got a thing painted on there or taped on there. Little 3-record set. They're all in there. Yeah, that's the one that Pat Murphy had for 100 years. You found that?
I'm sending him this clip. 100%.
There you go. Look, these were just because you never can have enough Brewer hats.
This is all at your office?
Yeah, that's the Adirondack Frostbite. That's the team. That's the minor league team that Levy and Melrose owned. Let's see. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Okay, I got a couple more things.
All right.
Oh, look at this. All right. These are the last two I'll show you. Oh,
okay.
Wait. There. Oh my goodness. Hang on. Never mind. Okay, we got this. All right. Here's a bunch. Look at this stuff.
Oh wow. Okay. What is that?
Twiggy.
Oh, there he is.
Okay, so Trigger. This is Twiggy the water seeing squirrel. So he sat in my office for a long time. What you don't see is what's on the other side, which is the old Jayhawk Kurt Heinrich. And I don't know how that was captured, but I've hung on to that. So there's Twiggy. We like Twiggy, and that we're just going to put that away. That's probably better. I don't know if you remember Ronaldinho. He was a big superstar in the soccer for Portugal.
The kicking?
Yeah, no, this is Ronaldo. Ronaldo. He was also Brazilian. And so I had to do a lead in on him. And I said one time, you say Ronaldo, and in soccer circles, people think of the greatest player ever. And if you say Ronaldo in America, you think of a Happy Meal. And so there he's Ronaldo. And I put him in my pocket. So I guess that's why we kept him around. Here, this is perfect. This is from 2002. A Jayhawk loss, priceless. Culver's Camp Randall. This was the outdoor hockey game.
Yes. Oh, that was so fun.
Signed by Dear John, best wishes, Mike Eves, head coach.
Oh, yeah. Former coach, yeah.
Head coach at the time. So when I was at the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
This is the stat sheet and lane sheet that I had when Sydney McLaughlin won the gold medal and set the world record. And Sid signed that, and she signed that for me. So this is what they give you. Those were the 3 people we were going to look for because I knew they would be close. Here's a little note about each one, all kinds of just different things, stats and signs and all this other stuff, and so, including like where they are, so you know what hurdles are on. But yeah, so that was signed by Sid.
That's incredible.
And then I know I just put this away. So I guess when I opened that, I knew this would be in it. He was on the show last night. This is from my boy, Grant Holloway. That's his jersey that he signed for me after he won the U.S. championship.
That's so cool.
So that's, can you see it in there? Where is
On
it?
the other side, I think. Yeah.
So there it is. There's Grant.
That's super neat.
He actually signed it twice because he lost track. So,
Well, those are some pretty unbelievable things, and I bet you there's 1,000 more pieces of stuff where that came from.
Yeah, let's see. Like, there's normal shit in here too, right? Like, look, you gotta have, collar stays.
Oh yeah,
turn up. You gotta
lose those things.
Yeah, listen. You should have a St. Norbert's Green Knights insulated mug. You should have a Teddy Higuera baseball card that totally is now warped and not worth anything.
Most random crap ever.
You should have a cigar from when Levy's daughter Harper was born.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, there's just a lot of crazy crap in there,
That's outstanding.
Look, you should have this. I don't know that this has ever been published about the Milwaukee Braves.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a lot. Yeah, there's just some crazy crap in here for sure.
And there's more and more boxes. That's insane.
Yeah.
What'd you do with all your ties? You had like 1,000 ties.
Yeah, they're just still sitting there. I don't know if I don't know exactly how many, but they'll be boxed up. And what I'll do, as I do with a lot of old stuff that either doesn't fit or is just kind of outworn its usefulness. Kenny is always helpful. I go through Kenny, and you donate that to some shelters, some places for men looking for jobs and need to look professional, but can't afford those clothes. So we'll make sure that stuff kind of gets to there, kind of a men's closet for folks like that. So, wow. This though is terribly depressing because I don't know where I'm going to put all this stuff, and there's a lot to clean up, and eventually I have to move.
I was going to say,
I don't know that this was a good idea at all.
Get a pods. You're going to need a pods.
Maybe next time you should say, John, that's not a good idea. When
Well,
you go, oh, cool, that'll be great. Maybe we should go, maybe you want to think of that. So,
maybe don't bring all that crap home.
Look, I might have to go.
Kenny Main, answer that.
All right. Hey, Kenny, I'm doing the podcast. Are you in the Bahamas? What's going on?
I am. Are you live on the podcast?
We are, yes. You want to say anything to the people of Wisconsin?
Obviously, I gave nominations of things for you to talk about.
I know. You did. You lied to me. You said, oh, no, I can't be on the show because I'm in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I did. Is it Lombardi, junior high, or grade school? I can't remember.
Junior high. Yeah, you were right on it.
There's one or two things I was like, oh, we should have mentioned this or that, but I think we covered the career as well as we could, and I thought it was really cool how many people joined in, and hopefully you were touched by all that.
I was not expecting that. I had kind of tried to veto that, and then Kamagan, he just has a mind of his own, did whatever he wanted. You were complicit.
Am I correct that you are going to do the world feed? So you're really just moving on to a different thing, not just going to play golf.
Yeah. I will. I'll play some, but yeah, I'm moving on. I'll do the world feed, and only this time, when you text me, hey, we're using your stuff on Peacock, I won't be terrified that I'm going to be fired because it wasn't supposed to be on Peacock. And then you were like, great, we'll show even more of it.
We gave you a lot of mentions. You were just. We need the free shout out. No free shout out guy. The hurdler kid, Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, Devin Allen. Yeah, he just texted me.
But I know him. He's my guy. I saw him at the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and he's on the practice team. That's a tributary story. Anyway, I'm just wishing you well, and I will report accurately on the Twitter that he retired. He ain't right back. Just like our quarterback in Seattle.
I appreciate it, man. You're a good dude. I will catch up when you're back here, when you're not, on the Sound or in the Bahamas. Are you renewing your vows? Is that why you're back in the islands already?
No, we've been back a bunch. This is like, if you're in the West Coast, you go to California, Hawaii, East Coast.
Right.
This ain't that far. So no, we're just here with all the girls. Annie's training for the Peachtree Run in Atlanta.
Nice.
But she hasn't ran in 3 or 4 years, so she's grinding. She's going hard, like a really.
Yeah, because that's the 4th of July, right?
Yeah, it is. And she's been doing yoga and Pilates and those type of things, but she hasn't been running. But her boyfriend down there, she works for the Marietta Daily Journal, if you want to read her work. And she's running. So she's out training, and I'm taking her to the beach, and we're having a time. We're doing all right.
Awesome, man. Thanks. Hey, thanks for checking in from vacation. When you get back, let's go play golf.
Yo, all right. Be well.
All right. See you, brother. Bye. There you go.
Same dude. He's the exact same guy.
Same guy.
That's
Same
awesome.
guy. And fascinated by the Packers. Loves the Packers. Still a little sore that the pilots were taken from him.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Brewers with Kenny Mayne.
There you go.
All right, dude. And that's our show.
He slaughtered the Cubs again.
Yeah,
Now
that was awesome.
4-1 at home.
Watch them get their face beat in.
Yeah. By the way, touching of you, thanks for putting on and supporting Parkinson's research and with the Coach Melrose T-shirt. That was great.
Yeah, cool. That was neat for him to pop in last night as well and say hello to you.
Yeah.
He looks good. He looks really good.
That was the most surprising of all the things, which was, great to see Bear.
Cool. All right, buddy. Thanks for doing this. I promise we'll have an actual guest for the next show. Thanks for allowing you to be the guest for the 86th episode of the Inside Wisconsin show.
You got a turtle, caramel, fudge, pecans, the caramel special there. We've got a zombie. Let me talk about that one. That's got, I think, most toppings that we have to offer.
I'm done talking. You can.
Bananas.
It's your show now, bud.
Yeah, you chow down.
Farmers, brewers, hunters, packers, badgers, cheeseheads, neighbors. No matter what name we go by, we are bound together by our roots. These are the people, the stories, and the patriotism from inside Wisconsin. Welcome to Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Another episode of Inside Wisconsin's Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. We are in Milwaukee at Wisconsin's oldest frozen custard stand. That is Willie from Gillies. Can't make it up. Is that your real name? Is it Willie?
I'm a William, but I've embraced the Willie from Gillies as my identity.
I don't think you've been here since 1938. I mean, if you do, man, you look good.
Yeah, personally, not quite. Paul Gillis started it in 1938. My grandfather, Robert Linscott, came aboard somewhere in the 40s. Back then, the records are a little unclear. You know, my family's been involved. He managed and bought it from Paul, and then it was my father and my uncle after my grandpa, and then that makes me 3rd generation owner.
I think when we pulled up, your dad was painting the sign. Your son is back there somewhere working on the parking lot.
Yep, he's scrubbing the custard spills, a very important thing.
And we call that Tuesday.
We call that Tuesday Cruise Day, actually.
Yeah.
Is our name for it. Family affair, and we are always working on something. And there's my son right there scrubbing the custard spills.
What's his name?
Remy.
Remy! What's up, brother?
Thanks, buddy.
I hope you're paying him cash. That's all I got to say, and
food
not in
so
frozen
far.
custard.
He's getting up there.
Okay. So 1938 is a long time, right?
Which actually we're in our 86th year now. Even though we weren't Wisconsin's first custard stand, there were some others. The oldest one continually operating to this day.
When we talk about Wisconsin, there are some things that are super true to us, and the dairy industry is a part of it. Now, without you hitting me in the face, tell us the difference between frozen custard and ice
The I
cream.
word?
Yeah.
The main difference is that custard has egg in it. Ice cream does not. Custard also uses a higher quality cream, if you will, higher butter fat, which is like a richer, creamier product. And then the other very important difference is that custard has less air whipped into it. Ice cream, to be honest, even though I like it, not as much as custard, they're selling you air. When you're getting, a pint of custard, you're getting more of the weight of the actual product. And that's why you have the rich, creamy, smooth, wonderful, luscious custard.
At this point, I don't know what we're doing without custard in our hands. Is that a mistake?
I'm gonna do that, right?
Definitely
You
doing
promised that, right?
Oh, I promise.
So I will follow through.
You're gonna regret that.
Oh.
You're gonna regret that.
Yeah, I feel like you could eat a couple scoops. The other thing too, Milwaukee is the unofficial custard capital of the world. You guys know that?
No, tell me about that.
That's gained a lot more traction too. We have the more custard stores per capita than anywhere else in the world by like a ton. It was just this healthy coexist, and now every neighborhood has a little custard stand.
Custard stands, bars, churches.
Yes.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, and Milwaukee, especially,
Milwaukee.
but Wisconsin.
So there is something too tied to Milwaukee in regards to your custard stand. What's the story behind Happy Days and the inspiration of Arnold's first and then Al's?
Yes, that has come up, and obviously if you look at our building and you look at the time period, it fits the bill. They drew a lot of inspiration of how our building looked, the walk-up, just the overall theme, atmosphere of it.
It's a fascinating story, and I think everybody's gonna really enjoy hearing about the history and the family and 1938. You do you. I'm gonna just talk. Just
all right,
talk.
see you, Trevor.
Say whatever you gotta say. I'm gonna. There's custard in here.
Yeah, so
hey, Willie. Willie, there's custard in here.
There's custard in
there?
there?
There's custard in
yeah,
here.
I think so.
All right, we're inside the shop now. This is your jam, Willie's Gillies frozen custard. Buddy, I have sampled bourbon, wine, cheese, beer. Seems to be a theme. I'm super pumped about sampling this. I'm a big fan of the frozen custard, Willie. Big fan.
So this is your first podcast custard sampling? Frozen
Yes, sir.
custard sampling?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep. I'm behind the counter. I feel like I should be. Do you have like apparel?
I was gonna say, if you're gonna be on this side, you've got to follow some procedures here.
Okay.
It's just your size, I'm sure. There you go.
Okay.
Tie that behind you there.
Super.
Okay.
It's a medium.
I helped you
out. It's a long ways away.
So what we do for the kids on their first
wow.
job.
Can you make it tighter, Willie?
There we go.
Okay.
Can't forget this.
Oh.
We can't have any
why
of your
can't you?
hair getting in the custard.
Good one.
So here you go.
Where's your hat?
Oh, yeah, right.
Got it. This is. Okay.
Can I make you something right now?
I would really appreciate that.
Okay. So, I hope you're not picky. I kind of just decided
Does
for
it
you
look
what
like
you're going to
I'm
get.
picky?
So here we
Nothing
go.
about. As a matter of fact, that was so tight I had to loosen it because I'm not picky.
Starting with vanilla. That's where it all begins to me. You know, we have a plethora of flavors. You talked about the theme of beer and booze, and we make a lot of those too. A Jameson whiskey custard, brandy, old fashioned. But we're going to start with vanilla, which is our own special recipe mix.
Yeah, you make this.
That only we have.
Yep.
Can you handle a couple scoops, you think?
Maybe.
Okay.
How about 2.5?
2.5.
Cutting back these days.
We can do that. There we go. And we're gonna put some bananas on there.
Do you not know how to open a banana without a knife? What was that?
This is the quick Sunday way to open it. When you gotta open 1,000 a day, you got no time to monkey around. You gotta.
Do you have your own like banana factory?
We haven't gotten that far yet.
Quick trip?
Yeah. So what we got here is a caramel special. Bananas, caramel, chopped nuts. For you, Trevor.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
I appreciate this.
I believe we have somewhere to the tune of about 20 some fancy sundaes on our menu. You know, you got a turtle, caramel, fudge, pecans, the caramel special there. We've got a zombie. Let me talk about that one. That's got, I think, the most toppings that we have to offer. It is like a banana split plus more. I'm gonna list off all the toppings.
Yeah, I'm done talking. You can.
Bananas.
This is your show now, bud.
Yeah, you chow down. Bananas, pineapple, strawberries, marshmallow, Jimmy's. Everyone know what Jimmy's are? Chocolate sprinkles. Another little local thing too. Chopped nuts, hot fudge, pecans, cherries. It's a zombie sundae.
Do people ever get hot fudge on this?
It's funny you say that. A Gillis special is bananas, hot fudge, chopped nuts.
No caramel?
That's how we distinguish the caramel special. But you're saying both? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
do both. Always.
You got one?
Today,
no hot fudge?
We don't. If it wasn't Tuesday.
We talked a lot about 86 years, right? Wisconsin's oldest frozen custard stand. I'm pointing because it's literally everywhere you look in here.
Our lobby is decked out with the story, the timeline, photos, our mascots.
Walk me through the story real quick.
Kind of shows you Paul as a kid shoveling. Paul Gillis, the founder, kind of how he got his inspiration after going to the Chicago's World Fair, about custard. And then you've got some early, what the building looked like, because it has the transformations after 86 years have been a lot. There's been like 4 major remodels, and each time, a little bit expanding or improving. Then you see too, I like to point out Paul Gillis drive-in sign, which when my grandpa acquired ownership, replaced that with the Gillises and the Cone Kids, as we call them, our mascots, Scoop and Coney. Then you see me finally at the end of the timeline. You got my mom holding me as a little baby, trying custard that my grandpa's spooning over. And we reenacted that years later with my daughter Avi and my mom feeding her.
You were pretty pumped, it appears.
Yeah, I was like, feed me.
We have a number of these members of the timeline in the store. Let's meet them. in person now, the before and the after. Will you introduce us, please?
Here's my dad, Tom, here. Like to call him around here Papa Scoopy.
Papa Scoopy. There's worse nicknames.
Absolutely.
He put in a lot of scoops and a lot of miles before I came to the picture, which that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Older brother, Uncle Bob,
We worked
over
together for
here.
a long time.
Nice.
Schedules, ordering, blah, blah, blah.
That's what the whole team calls him, by the way, is Uncle Bob.
Uncle Bob.
He just,
Papa
Uncle
Scoopy.
Bob. Remy is 7, and he is already jumping in and helping out the team.
That's a wrap.
Being the third generation owner, there's got to be a little bit of pride of you being able to carry on the family business going on now 86 years.
That's the biggest part to me. It's not about how successful and financially successful can we be, but it's the passion for it. I'm the third guy in my family in line. I don't want to let the torch go out on my watch. The passion, the pride, I always say, carrying on the torch, the legacy, you know, this is bigger than me. It's gonna last for a long time.
Really glad that you were able to have us out and introduce us to the generations that we covered earlier and the generations to come.
Yeah, and it's been fun. Thanks for allowing us to share the story.
It's another episode of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. We are at Gillies Frozen Custard in Milwaukee. Awesome motorcycle. You know, we are in the city that founded Harley Davidson. There's gonna be that. All right, Willie, we are inside your shop now. Gillies Frozen Custard.
You'll graduate to the zombie soon. But.
Do people ever order this?
Sorry, we're closed today, sir.
Okay.
Hey, have a good day.
Why are none of them wearing hats? Why am I the only one in this entire building in a hat, Willie?
Look how lucky you are.
You stand out.
Because I needed help not blending in, right? Another episode of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Gillies Frozen Custard here in Milwaukee. If you want to learn more about Gillies, and you're going to need to trust me, you do. Head to their website, gilliesfrozencustard.com. And when you're in Milwaukee, make sure to stop here. By the way, if you want us to tell your story, your deep-rooted Wisconsin business story, or your family, or your community, head to our website, farmandfleet.com/deeperroots, and fill out the form. I'm gonna enjoy this cookie. We'll see you next time. I'm just hanging out. It's good. It's break time.
Trevor, hey, break's over. Come on, dude, back to work. Come on.
See you next time.
Back to work.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Shut up and sit down.